I was halfway through skimming leaves out of my pool when a voice cut through the quiet behind me. "You're going to need to clear out soon." "My mom owns this neighborhood." I froze mid-swipe, the net dangling in my hand. Turning around, I found myself staring at a lanky teenager with his hands on his hips. I'd only seen him in passing before, Karen's son. He couldn't have been more than 16, but the smug grin stretching across his face made it clear he believed every word he just said. "Excuse me?" I asked, wondering if I'd misheard him. "You heard me," he replied, puffing his chest out like he was making some official declaration. "This pool isn't yours anymore. My mom says once the HOA makes a few changes, we'll be in charge. So you'd better get used to me and my friends hanging out here." I almost burst out laughing. My pool, in my fenced backyard, on my property. And here was Karen's teenage son, acting like he'd just inherited a kingdom. For months, I'd dealt with small run-ins with his mother. Karen strutted around the neighborhood like she was royalty, filing bogus HOA complaints and barking at neighbors about what kind of flowers they were allowed to plant. But it was clear she had passed her delusions right down to her kid. I dropped the net and said firmly, "This pool is private property. You step foot in here again and I'll call security." End of discussion. But instead of backing off, he smirked. "We'll see about that. My mom says once she takes over, we'll be running things. That means I get the pool whenever I want." With that, he strutted off like some self-appointed prince. I shook my head, thinking it was just another dose of Karen's nonsense, and didn't give it much weight. But the next morning, I learned just how wrong I was. Coffee in hand, I stepped outside only to freeze at the sight in front of me. 3 teenage boys, including Karen's son, were splashing in my pool like it was their private water park. A speaker blared music across the yard. Wet towels were tossed across my patio furniture, and one kid had even dragged my cooler over to fill it with sodas. I nearly spilled my coffee in disbelief. My warning clearly hadn't sunk in. That's when it hit me. This wasn't going to end with a simple get out. Something bigger was brewing. I stormed across the patio, slammed my mug on the table, and barked, "Out! Now!" My voice was sharp enough to make 2 of the boys freeze. But Karen's son just grinned, wiping water from his face. "Relax," he said casually. "My mom already told us we could use it. She's about to be in charge anyway, so technically this is ours." The arrogance in his tone made my jaw tighten. "This is my property," I snapped. "Your mom doesn't run anything here and you're trespassing. Get out before I call the police." That should have been the end of it. But instead of leaving, Karen's son leaned back on one of my floaties like it was a throne. "Go ahead," he taunted. "Mom will back me up. She told me the neighborhood's basically hers already." "You can't do anything to me." My hand itched around the phone in my pocket. I'd dealt with Karen's petty complaints before, about lawn height, mailbox color, even the way I parked my truck. But this was different. This wasn't just about rules. She was teaching her son that their family held dominion over the rest of us. And then, right on cue, the back gate creaked open. Karen herself walked in like she owned the place. Clipboard tucked under one arm, oversized sunglasses perched on her head, and that smug, self-righteous smile fixed on her face. "What's going on here?" she asked, as though I were the intruder. I stared in disbelief. "What's going on is that your son broke into my yard with his friends. They're trespassing. This stops now." Karen waved her hand dismissively. "Don't be dramatic. The HOA has been discussing new community amenities. Once I finalize my role as chairwoman, this pool will be considered part of the neighborhood. We're just getting a head start." I nearly choked. "Excuse me? This pool is in my backyard, behind my fence, on my land. You have zero authority here." Her son, emboldened, chuckled. "See? Told you Mom's in charge." The sheer delusion left me speechless. "I want you all out," I said coldly. But Karen crossed her arms and said flatly, "We're not going anywhere, and if you call the cops, don't expect the HOA to be on your side." In that moment, I realized this wasn't about a few kids splashing around. This was Karen trying to stake her claim, trying to make me bend, trying to make the whole neighborhood bend. But she underestimated me, and soon enough, she was going to find out just how badly she had miscalculated, because one thing was certain. I wasn't about to let Karen rewrite reality just because she had a clipboard and a fake sense of authority. That night, I sat down at my desk and pulled out every document I could find. My property deed, the HOA bylaws, even the official community map. I wanted undeniable proof in black and white that my pool was mine and mine alone. And sure enough, there it was. Clear boundaries, clear ownership, zero HOA authority over it. Armed with that paperwork, I figured the smart move was to take it through the proper channels. So I drafted an email to the HOA board, attaching my deed and laying out a detailed account of what Karen and her son had pulled. I expected a quick, decisive response, shutting her nonsense down. But the reply I got made my stomach drop. "We'll need to review this matter carefully. Karen has expressed strong interest in expanding community amenities. Until further notice, please remain civil." Remain civil? My pool was being invaded and they wanted me to stay calm? The very next afternoon, I heard laughter drifting in through my window. I looked outside, and sure enough, there they were again. Karen's son, his two buddies, and this time Karen herself, lounging in my yard like it was their private resort. She'd brought folding chairs, snacks, and even a massive umbrella. It wasn't just trespassing anymore. It was a full-blown pool party. That was the breaking point. I grabbed my phone and stormed outside. "This is your final warning," I said sharply. "Leave now or I'm calling the police." Karen didn't flinch. In fact, she smirked and pulled out her own phone. "Go ahead. I'll tell them you assaulted minors by throwing them out of a community space." Her son splashed water in my direction, laughing. "Yeah, call them. Let's see who they believe." The audacity was staggering. For a second, I actually felt cornered. I knew if Karen spun the story just right, the HOA might back her up. But then it hit me. Karen was counting on me to lose my temper. If I shouted, if I shoved, if I did anything rash, she'd twist it into a weapon against me, so instead I smiled. Calm, controlled. "Perfect," I said evenly. "Let's involve the police. Just so you know, I'll be showing them my deed, and the trespassing footage from my security cameras." That stopped her cold. Karen froze for half a second, her sunglasses sliding down her nose. She hadn't known about the cameras. Her son's grin faltered too, the bravado draining from his face. Suddenly, their claim didn't seem so invincible, but instead of admitting defeat, Karen doubled down. "We'll see what the board says," she snapped as she gathered her things. This isn't over. She was right. It wasn't over. But not in the way she thought. The very next morning, I got to work. I compiled everything, my deed showing the property line, screenshots of the HOA bylaws, and most importantly, high-definition clips from my cameras. Every angle showed it clearly. Karen leading her son and his friends into my yard, them splashing in my pool, moving my furniture around like it was theirs. I neatly organized everything into a folder and called the non-emergency police line. After I explained the situation, the dispatcher didn't hesitate. "That's trespassing. An officer will come by to document it." When the patrol car rolled up later that afternoon, I finally felt a wave of relief. Real authority was here. I showed the officer my paperwork, the video clips, and even the HOA's mealy-mouthed email response. He nodded as he flipped through everything, his expression hardening. "You've got all you need," he said. "We'll take it from here." Not an hour later, that same squad car pulled up again, this time stopping right in front of Karen's house. I watched from my porch as the officer knocked. Karen opened the door, clipboard in hand like it was some badge of office. Her son hovered behind her, peeking over her shoulder. I couldn't hear their words, but I could read their body language. Karen gestured wildly toward my house, trying to spin her side. The officer shook his head. Then he held up a tablet, showing her the video evidence I'd given him. That was the moment it all crumbled. Karen's confident stance withered. Her arms dropped. Her son's smirk vanished completely. Within minutes, the officer handed her a written notice, a trespassing violation. One more incident and charges would follow. The boys were given an official warning, and Karen was told in no uncertain terms that my property was off limits. When the officer left, Karen looked across the street and shot me a glare, but she didn't say a word. Her son sulked behind her, shoulders slumped. The so-called royal family of the cul-de-sac had just been dethroned. Word spread fast. Neighbors who had silently put up with Karen's antics for months suddenly felt emboldened. One by one, they began pushing back against her fake rules and empty threats. And without the HOA falling in line, her power dissolved almost overnight. As for me, I finally got to enjoy my pool in peace again. No trespassers, no bogus claims, just quiet water and freedom in my own backyard. Karen thought she could crown herself queen of the neighborhood and pass the throne to her son. But all she really did was expose how powerless she truly was. And I proved that standing firm, armed with the truth, is stronger than any clipboard, smirk, or entitled claim. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading what you think. And if you want more wild HOA and Karen stories, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you're the first to catch the next one. I'll see you in the next video.